So hello everyone, welcome to our channel. The name of the channel is Phoenix Breath. Why is it called Phoenix Breath?
Because we're magical beings of light, manifesting miracles through our breath, which is our prana and life force.
Well, the phoenix, besides is a mythical animal that for humanity has always represented the resurrection out of the ashes, and it's a moment for that. We consider that humanity is going through a very dark moment, but for sure, with no doubt, we will recover from this, and from our own ashes we will rebirth.
Yes, we'll be reborn
Will be reborn.
through the inner alchemy of fire and the other elements of the earth.
Yes, the phoenix has this element of fire within him, because through fire he transforms, transcends,
And transmutes.
and transmutes. Exactly. So my name is Felipe,
And I'm Nick.
and we welcome you. So I a little bit to tell about myself, now that we relate to each other through stories, but I consider that we are nothing and we know nothing. But a little bit to tell about myself, I was born in Colombia 45 years ago. I've been on my path of self-discovery since I was very young. Being awake is not something that you can tell that happens from one moment to another, and I consider myself on the path. I'm a student of life, I'm a student of this that we call evolution and my own self. And but yeah, I've been using many tools for my own evolution again. I've been into integral yoga, hatha yoga, kundalini yoga, a lot of meditation, yeah, lots of practices to awaken my self-observation, and yeah, I've been traveling for the last 3 years of my life, and before that I was living in my country, in Colombia. And yeah, now I am thrilled to be in Thailand, in an island called Kopangan. And yeah, my path now is to keep on evolving, and that is why we are recording this video personally, because the things that you teach, you learn at the same time. Yeah, that's my path.
And I'm Nick. I've also been on a wild journey of evolution and working through my personal shadows and the collective shadows. I grew up on a family farm in California near Yosemite National Park, and I was just wild and free there, just running around barefoot and climbing trees and really connecting to the earth and learning how to be a steward of the land from my grandpa. And that was one of the happiest times of my life, because I felt so much inner freedom, and that the inner child was alive inside of me, and I was super connected to the earth and the animals and the trees and the plants. And I was riding just bareback on horses and riding the cows even, and sometimes nursing baby cows by feeding them milk out of a bottle if they couldn't be with their mother for some reason. And it was just beautiful, beautiful. And then at the same time, when I was growing up, I spent half the time in the city around the Bay Area, where I went to school and I was socialized and programmed by like our typical society, culture, and the matrix lifestyle. So I had this duality growing up, and throughout my life, it's really been a story of extreme duality, experiencing extreme duality. And I was working in San Francisco in finance in the matrix, and finally I started waking up again and having a rebirth after like having been free and awake as a child, and then slowly being programmed and kind of becoming asleep by the food that we eat and the things that we learn in school. I started waking up again finally through yoga, and I was practicing yoga vinyasa for like 3 hours a day after work in San Francisco, and singing mantras in Sanskrit and playing like tribal drums like in the middle of San Francisco. And so that was the beginning of my waking up process. And then I started changing the way I was eating, which like made one of the biggest shifts for me in the beginning. So a lot of the work that I do and the way that I approach like making a transformation and a shift has to do with the body, healing the body, cleaning the body, and working from the ground up in that way, which kind of connects me to my roots as well, of growing up on a farm and growing my own food and being connected to the land. And I love being able to help people in that way through like biohacking tools and cleaning their body. And then working up from there and working to the spiritual side of things as well through meditation and quantum work, like bioresonance and healing with frequencies and vibrational medicine. So this is my passion, and I'm so happy and grateful to be able to share with you and again learn through teaching, and we're all like the students of life on this voyage together, and we're all one really. So yeah, it's an honor to be here, and welcome.
So, thank you for listening to us and for co-creating with us this reality. We are here because we are passionate about what we do, that is the self-discovery, self-mastery. So, the topics that we're going to talk about on our channel are several, all of them related to the awakening of our own consciousness, the evolution of the mind, the evolution of the body. So detox recipes, yoga, postures, breathing techniques, pranayamas. What else?
Well, the gene keys, which are a way of looking at our human DNA as kind of a framework for awakening and activating ourselves and learning the lessons of each of our genes, raising our frequency in that way just by self-awareness and contemplation and exploration of our minds and our patterns and our history, our stories.
Taoism, Tai Chi, Qigong, what else? Meditation skills.
Magic, shamanism, plant medicine.
Egypt, Arthurians, you name it.
Pleiadians.
All the things that we like to research, that we insights. Maybe we're talking together, maybe one of us is doing one video or another. We are here just to help each other in this path of again self-discovery. And yeah, and the first topic that we want to talk about is, as Nick was mentioning, gene keys. Why gene keys?
Gene keys are one of the topics I feel most passionate about and inspired by, because they feel like a complete framework and structure and path for self-discovery and for mapping out our soul in a way that makes complete sense, connecting all of the dots and integrating a way of awakening on all levels, like the mental, the spiritual, and the physical, in a way that feels full of integrity and just the truth. It feels like it's true. Yeah.
So gene keys, for me, is something that I just begin to discover, but it has all the sense. It has, like, you know, when we come to a moment when we see that some theories like adapt to ourselves better than others, and I can clearly see that even though I am just discovering this tool, it makes a lot of sense. It condenses a lot of information in just one map. And this process of self-discovery is, although it is a very personal path, it's kind of a loner path, because nobody can teach you what is consciousness. Nobody can, like, you know, that you go to a university and this is consciousness, you know, or read this book and this is consciousness, or drink this water, or go into this kind of plant medicine. That is another of the topics that we're going to talk about, plant medicines, by the way.
And water, activating water.
But on this path of self-discovery, there's no one that can teach you this. It's only the power of will, and it's only the power, the will to change, the will to discover what is this life about, that will lead you to that path of self-discovery. Nevertheless, there are endless paths. It can be pranayamas, it can be yoga, it can be meditation in several ways, it can be a contact with a moment of death, that you begin to ask those questions inside of you. But definitely, what I've seen, as far as I've seen from Gene Keys, is a map of who we are, is a map that has 5,000 years old. It's being recovered by this amazing, beautiful, loving, wholehearted guy that is called Richard Rudd, and we want to bring to you this magnificent tool that we're going to work with in our path. We're going to tell you about our own personal evolution with this magnificent tool, and we invite you to just discover this with us, because we are in this together. And if it's not through Gene Keys, it can be through many other spiritual paths, but nevertheless, I think that Gene Keys can be a good start if you are starting in this, and if you have already been working on yourself for years. This definitely is another tool of, you know, clearing the path of all the limitations that we have in our lives, in order for us to really shine. So where does this come from, this Gene Keys?
Well, Richard Rudd developed the Gene Keys after having studied the I Ching from China for a long time. It's an ancient Chinese text that's talking about the 64 archetypes which correlate with the 64 genes of the human DNA, and each one tells a story. And Richard Rudd also developed this when he was working with the teacher who developed human design, and he kind of connected all the dots from learning human design and this way of combining it with astrology, and realizing that you could combine the concepts of human design with the ancient concepts of the I Ching to map out every person's like path and journey, and like basically the map of their soul based on their time of birth and place of birth and day of birth, to see which gene keys were activated in them and which lessons they were learning in this lifetime and which energies they could harness from the universe. Yeah.
As well, on the word genes, well, we speak about our genetics. So it is our DNA that is included into this scientific plus very spiritual and very old technique of discovering ourselves. So what is the DNA? Uh, in this book, he explains that into the DNA, we not only have all the mapping of how we look, how long we have our fingers, all the physical aspects of being a human, but as well we inherit from ancestral times all our fears, limitations, beliefs, everything that we have lived is there. Not only us, but our parents, our grandparents, and all the human family. So when we enter to discover what is inside the DNA, it's not only going to give you a map on how you look, but it's going to give you a map about everything about you. So this is part of the path, just going through our DNA in a very like structural way, but at the same time is something that is very, once you begin to go into your mapping, you have some clues about who you are, what are your limitations, what are your beliefs, what are the shadows that you have to work on. Because definitely, and with every spiritual path, you have to go through the fear, through the shadow, through the obscurity, through everything that is kind of poisoning you, in order for you to awaken to your light, to your wisdom. So how does he call this? The three paths
Yeah.
of the gene keys are.
Well, first I wanted to mention that although our DNA has encoded in it the entire history of humanity and the collective consciousness, and also the fears that were developed even from when we were animals, in this fight or flight response that we have, and these survival mechanisms which create fear in us in this fight or flight and survival mode. Actually, what really programs our DNA is our attitude. And this is the entire theory of epigenetics, which has been proven by science and by these systems, that our DNA is completely changed and affected by our mindset and our thoughts and our beliefs and our words and our actions, especially over time as we create patterns. So Richard Rudd really emphasizes in this system that we have the power to change our DNA by changing our thoughts and by changing our attitude. And this whole system is designed to be able to do that, which is why we're calling ourselves the Phoenixes. And then within each gene, there's actually a range of frequencies, so a spectrum of consciousness. And there are 3 different frequencies within each gene key, starting at the level of the shadow, which is where much of humanity is right now, and much of humanity is kind of working through their shadows at this time, which include their fears and root chakra issues about security and money, and these old brain security fight or flight issues that we had when we were animals. And then the next level is the level of the gift frequency, which is where we start to come out of the shadow and start feeling gratitude, love, and compassion, and we start wanting to be of service at this level. And then the highest frequency is what's called the Siddhi frequency, which in Sanskrit means the divine gift, and it's really the enlightenment frequency. And when just one person reaches this level of frequency within their DNA, it has a catalyst, like cascade waterfall effect, to help wake up thousands and thousands of other people. So the power of this work, like going inside and doing this inner alchemy work by becoming aware and conscious of your patterns and raising your vibration from the shadow to the gift, and then ultimately the Siddhi, has an effect on the whole world, because we're all one. We're all one reflection of the original divine source. We're all fractals of source. So yeah, we'll talk more about this in other videos, but it's been proven on a quantum level that we're all holographic fractals of source and infinity, which means that we carry all of the DNA inside of us, and we're the microcosm to the macrocosm that's reflected outside of us.
So you might be wondering, okay, how do I start this journey? What is the first thing that I can do to get in? So the first thing is getting their hologenetic map. The hologenetic map that you can go, we will write down the website where you can go and do it by yourself. It's free, everyone can do it, and with the date of birth and the time of birth and the location, the place where you were born, you can like write down that data, and with that you will have your map. What does the map tell you?
The map tells you your main 4 gene keys that are part of your path in this lifetime. That you have the power to harness these energies and learn, work through these shadows and gain the gift or the Siddhi level of these genes. And so one is related to your life path and your purpose in this life. Another is related to your relationships and love. Another is related to abundance and being of service, and how to best be of service in this lifetime.
And every gene key has the clue. I mean, once you have your map, you begin to see that those issues that the gene keys bring to your awareness are exactly the things that you've been working on unconsciously in your life. So you begin to see that when you study one of the gene keys that are on your map, you begin to watch, okay, this is what I've been going through. How can I overcome this shadow? How can I begin to be more bright, more to bring some light to that shadow, in order for you to begin to bring the gift to your life. So it's kind of understanding the darkness, understanding your shadow, embodying it, accepting it, with compassion, like understand that is your path, that is there is nothing wrong with what you've been going through. And once you are there, once you begin to understand that shadow is part of you, then you, with loving kindness for yourself, you begin to understand that has been your quest. You've been wanting this, and little by little, by studying your map, you will begin to understand your life. What is the purpose of your life? That has nothing to do with being famous and having lots of money. Maybe if you want to create that in your experience of life, that can be possible. But we are not for that. We are here for much more. So that is the mapping. You will get the map from the website, and you will begin to see what is going on in your life. Um, and with that, you have a tool to begin your journey into yourself.
Yeah, and at the end of the page that has your map, your hologenetic profile, there's actually an audio recording by Richard Rudd. That's his personal contemplation on your main gene key. And I love listening to those because he's such a beautiful soul, and his contemplation on it is really personal and meaningful. And when I listened to mine on my free profile, it just resonated so much for me. I started crying, like, yes, this is my life, this was my journey, this was my lesson, someone understands. Like, it was so beautiful. And then beyond that, if it resonates for you, we'd encourage you to actually buy or download the book, The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. And that can be used as like a further resource if you wish to read more about your gene keys, read what he says about the gene keys.
And study yourself. Study. One of the things that he well, first I want to say, definitely when you listen to his words and the tone of his voice and his complete like peace, just talking to you about what you are, what is your gene key, what is your shadow, how to overcome this, how to go to your gift, and with your gift begin to be at service to the world with whatever you have, because it's not something that we are more advanced than others, we are just ourselves. And just with that, you begin to see that there is a truth behind every gene key. Even if it's yours or someone else's gene key, we as humanity, we are going all through this. We are going all through this process of self-discovery and evolution. And yes, so you can go through his website, and he has lots of tools to begin this journey. And we will put ourselves as examples. I will give you my on a next video. I will give you my mapping. What is that I've been working on? How does that is reflected in my life? So you can we can follow each other. Well, do you want to add something else?
Just that we're all in this together. So even though this is really personal, inward journey, and all of our soul mapping is unique, we are all one, and we're all working on this like evolution path together, because in the end we are one consciousness. So really no one is ever left behind, and no one is better or worse, and no one is right or wrong. And that's what's so beautiful about it. It's like, oh, you have that shadow too? I know that shadow. Like, it's so amazing and different from like normal Western society and culture that is like really trying to hide the shadows, and then they become bigger and bigger and bigger because we're trying to cover them up and they're taboo and no one's talking about them. So yeah, I'd really love for this to be a community where we can support each other in talking about the things that have been hidden in the past, which is where the alchemy and the transmutation happens, through shining the light in the places where the light hasn't been shined. And it would be an honor for me to do that with you.
So count with us. If you want to write us whatever is in your mind, if you don't like it at all, please tell us as well. We are here just because we want to do this, and we put ourselves in service, at service of you. And if there's something that we can work on, we definitely can. We've been on this path for a long time. Both of us, we are coaches, we are in contact with people that we are already helping in many ways. So please ask us if you have any comment, just give us some feedback. And yeah, like, God bless you. And thank you for being here. And yeah, let's keep on writing to each other, contacting each other, and let's create this beautiful community, this brotherhood, sisterhood between us. And yeah, that's. We wish you a good day, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in
Keep
this
breathing.
earth plane. And yes, keep breathing, please, deeply.